when I got the theme for the month, I actually sent back a title that was way too long for them to use effectively online, and the title I gave them was "Practice Without Understanding is Ritual. Understanding without practice is death." You see, we come here to learn about this infinite power that resides within us. In fact, that we are. There is no separation between us and this power, and yet we act as if it were a thing. Mic's not on. It says it's on. So I'll just have to speak louder. We act as if it's a thing, as if it were something that we could pick up and lay down, like you could pick up and lay down a book. We act as if this was knowledge, like things to know. But I would like you to do an experiment with me right now. I would like you to step out of time with me and just stop. Now, how many of you are not 5 seconds older than you were when we stopped? You can no more step out of this and not actualize this knowledge than you can stop time. Thomas Troward, one of the foundational writers of New Thought, proposes this notion that you are either growing or you are dying. In life, you look at a plant. A plant grows and grows and grows and grows and continues to green until a certain point it stops doing that. And almost immediately, life starts to leave it. We are this power. It is either continually actualizing through us, or we are dying on the vine. Many of us are just husks of the life we were, because we have stopped seeking out ways to express the life that we are. We have given up on life, and life, therefore, has given up on us. It is seeking always to find vibrant expressions through which it can know itself. This power is not something you can choose to ignore. You can choose to ignore it, but when you ignore it, you cut off your own life force. Much of what we've done in life is practice. How many of you had, when you were a child, prayed every night just because you learned the prayer? Oh yeah, I was real. Somewhere around the time I was 8, I started to try to understand what I was doing. By the time I was 12, I was writing a dissenting opinion for the minister's sermons on Sunday. Sometimes I even got quoted from the pulpit for my dissenting opinion. If you don't understand this, you just go through the motions. Now, the great thing about it is if you have great passion and you just go through the motions, stuff works. And Patty can kind of think, when you're just learning your voice, you're just discovering, just by singing, even when you don't know what you're doing, you generate it. For me, it's preaching. When I started to get up and speak, and when I first started, only Norma here was there when I first started. I got up to give my very first talk 30 years ago, and when I got up, it was just a little Toastmaster icebreaker speech, 4 minutes long. I spoke for a minute and a half, sat down, swore I would never do that again. After about a week of thinking about it, I realized that's not why I was doing it. The reason I joined Toastmasters was because that happened every time I got up to speak. And if I wanted to be a minister, I needed to find a way around that. And I learned something. The way past your fear of being who you are. And that's really what we're afraid of. is to pick something and make it more important than you are. For me, it's my message. My message is way more important than me. I have no idea of myself as I speak. I really have no notion of who I am. I become the message. I become the speaking. When you let go of your attention on yourself, you become that power within you. And it finds that expression through you. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to make it happen. You have to let yourself be and allow it to rise up. You see, I'm no better speaker than anybody I know. I merely let it happen. I'm just surrendered into it maybe more than most. Some of you have noticed I never use notes. It's because I have no idea what I'm going to say. I'm not speaking. I'm here, speaking's happening. That which is there to be said finds a way through me to you. Now, some of us are in class. I've been a minister now for 25 years. And I've taught hundreds of classes, thousands of people in class. And there are a great number of people who come to my classes just to learn. As if the accumulation of more knowledge was going to somehow transform their life. And while they are seeking to accumulate knowledge, they stick it in their little knowledge bank, and that's all the further it goes. This is the second half of what I was talking about. The more we try to accumulate knowledge, the less we use it, the deader we become. There is no power in knowing something. It's better to know something than not know it, but at the same time, if you know something and you don't use it, what's the point of knowing it? How is there any evidence that you know it if you have never applied it? One of my dear friends in the ministry, J. Scott Niels, has a saying, and he stole from someone else and just modified it slightly. And he goes like this: inspiration without application is hallucination. The more you think you understand something, but you don't use it, you don't apply it, you're just in some altered state. You might as well be taking drugs. They're more fun, and you can get some more of them. Inspiration is not so easy to come by. You can get high on life for lots of reasons, but being high on life is not the same as living. Living is that actualization of that which you are, which comes only from applying that which you have known. When Patty first started singing, it was out of the realization that anything was possible. She told me, I never would have believed this, but she told me she was 40 when she found her voice. Now, I would have thought she was 40 today, so since this has been years ago.
Yeah, that was last week.
Since it's been years ago, it just points to the fact that you don't have to be yesterday. You have to have started back when you were young to go anywhere. It's a good thing, huh? Except for this young man, there aren't any of us there. We've got to start where we are. Luckily, that's possible. No matter what it is that you're imagining for your life, no matter what it is that you think is that urge within that life is seeking to express through you, today is the day it could begin. Today's as good a day as any to start. And because you are able to start any time, there is nothing that you must perform first. You see, there's no level of understanding about this you must achieve in order to begin. Just that notion, it's possible, will lead you to the path. And that path will lead you to understanding. And while you continue to walk, understanding takes on a whole different dimension than things that you could know. It becomes about things you can be. And as you allow yourself to be it, it becomes more. When I first started to speak, I thought I knew everything. I got up to give my very first sermon. It was 45 minutes long. Had 15 points and 4 sub-points under each 15 main points. When I got through, everybody said, "That was a marvelous talk." I had no idea what you said. Nobody could remember what I started with. And by the time it was done, they couldn't even remember what I finished with, because I had inundated them with facts and figures and things. And I had not touched them at all. Or I had beat them. It's not about that. You know, what you know is irrelevant. The things you know are only your limitations. It's about beginning to be and allowing your beingness to unveil you. Letting that which is already within you reveal yourself. Your understanding, true understanding, is not about getting some pattern in your head that you can fit all the facts into. It's about finding a place within yourself. When you look around, you notice everything does fit. Because you're not trying to make it be other than it is. See, all the great Eastern teachers have spent all of their lives trying to get people to stop and be. Because humans do. And what humans do is what they think they know. The stuff you do every day, you do it because you think you know something that makes sense. And doing what you do makes sense because of what you know. If you stop, you start to realize you don't know so much. That lots of things that you think are so are sort of so sometimes. And not so other times. And so they become less than what you thought. They are not the pattern of life. They are a pattern you have imposed on life. And when I step back and I stop, and that's the point of meditation, it's not to go anywhere particular, it's actually just to get here. It's to stop. And notice that everything around you somehow fits together, whether you like it or not. Everything around seems to have a place, whether it makes sense or not. And if you can just allow yourself to be in that place of sensing, you find that there's more to you than you have thought. This journey we call New Thought is really not so much about thinking new thoughts. It's about not thinking old thoughts. It's about learning to stop the thoughts that you've already thought and allow something else to arise in its place. You know, our practice isn't one to insert new thoughts. Think a new thought. Gotta get something new in there. It's about stopping. Because frankly, that's what you're doing now. You're beating yourself up, trying to make your mind think the thoughts you think it ought to think. Trying to get it to stop the thoughts that you think it oughtn't to think. And instead of just being and allowing that those thoughts have a way to be, that they have a right to exist. Why? Because you have generated them. Whether they're good or bad is irrelevant. They're just the thoughts you have generated. And that came from what you think you know. And when you start to notice that that which you think you know is just that, it has no more validity and no more truth and no more power than it is something that you think you know. It starts to exist in a bigger frame. And what's in that bigger frame is lots of room for new things to occur. And when you let yourself arrive at that comfort zone. You are practicing and you are arriving at understanding. You're arriving at the possibility of what could be. And you're allowing that which you are to find its natural expression inside of the desires that you have claimed. See, there's nothing you're supposed to be other than the divine expression of life itself. That form can be any form. And any form that you choose would be fine. But to arrive at that form, you need to step out of the frame you're in, into a bigger frame. And as you step into that bigger frame, new possibilities, new futures arise. And as you recognize them and allow them to be there, you are drawn into that direction which is yours. You are the power. Not like you are the power and everybody else isn't. What I'm saying is you, who you are, what you are, is the power that moves into expression when you let it. Today I invite you to move into that power. To step out of the box of what you know into that bigger frame of more, of the greater window, and allow that which you are to find its natural expression in your living. And step up